Hello. So these questions are from the Precalculus book questions. So you can pause sometimes and try to solve and come back. Check how did I solve it if I went fast, okay? So these are from the textbook, as I said, of the Precalculus, because we had to take this chapter aslan from the Precalculus book. You don't have with you except the algebra 2. The books are at school. So anyways, remember we were doing with identities, quotient identities, reciprocal identities, and the very lovely Pythagorean identities, co-function identities, and even and odd functions, or even and odd identities. So now, as I said, nobody's gonna tell you, okay, here you have to use reciprocal or quotient. Only your brain, no one else. So as I said in the previous video, simplifying requires making it shorter, cutting it into smaller, or changing into sine and cosine. So I think this one would be going to sine and cosine, because I have a lot of sines and cosines over here that are hidden. So I would think this is a reciprocal identity, and this is also a reciprocal identity, and this is a quotient identity. If I memorize the identities, it will be very easy for me. So I think the start will be thinking that this is 1 over sine x. I figure sometimes I myself try, and when I don't get it this way, I try to think in another way, because sometimes some ways are harder than others. So I'm just trying 1 over cosine x and seeing where will I go. I cannot stop from the first step. Quotient identity, sine x over cosine x. So where did this take me to? This took me to 1 over sine x cosine x minus sine x over cosine x, okay? As we used to do with numbers, we will do with trigonometric functions. I need to subtract, but the denominators are not equal. Remember rational functions chapter? I think it was chapter 7 maybe. This has sine x, this doesn't have. Both of them have cosine x. So I need to stick beside this a sine x to be able to subtract them. I cannot multiply only the denominator, I have to multiply both the numerator and the denominator, okay? So what will I have now? I will have 1 over sine x cosine x minus this by this is sine. As I said, sine squared x, it's written this way. It means sine x all squared. All over sine x cosine x. It doesn't matter if you write it cosine x, sine x, or sine x, cosine x, because it's multiplication. So I reached 1 minus sine squared x all over sine x cosine x. Once I see 1 minus sine squared x, I must think of, and this will keep repeating, yani even if you didn't get it now, you get it in the coming question, 1 minus sine squared x. Okay, I have one Pythagorean identity that's called sine squared x plus cosine squared x is equal to 1. It's very important to know how to deal with these identities. Now 1 minus sine squared x is very obvious to me, at least to me, that it is cosine squared x over sine x cosine x. What will happen? Cosine squared x, one of these will go with the cosine x, because cosine squared x is cosine x times cosine x, as if it's cosine x times cosine x, okay? So one of them will go with this cosine x. What am I left with? I'm left with cosine x over sine x. And what is cosine x over sine x? Quotient identities, we'll change this to cotan x. And see, of course, cotan x is way simpler than cosec sec minus tan. And here I did simplifying and everything is fine. I will not do anything else. Why can't I stop here? We do not prefer trigonometric functions in the denominator, okay? And I know very well that cosine x sine x can be simplified to cotan x if you remember the quotient identities. Looks like a party of sine and cosine again, right? Okay, this one is reciprocal identity. This is fine. This one is quotient identity. So over here, I would go 1 over sine x minus cosine x times This is cosine x over sine x. I can subtract peacefully over here because both denominators are sine x, right? So, and this multiplied by this is cosine squared x. So I have actually 1 over sine x minus cosine squared x all over sine x. So I started seeing a Pythagorean identity over here. All over sine x. When you subtract, denominators do not change. You just copy the same denominator as you used to do with numbers. So what is 1 minus cosine squared x? Sine squared x. So I have sine squared x over sine x. I'm sorry. That's the same as sine x times sine x all over sine x. This cancels this, and the answer is sine x, which is way simpler than how the question started. I hope you are trying to understand what's going on. What's the difference between these questions and the algebra 2 questions? I cannot trust algebra 2 questions alone because it's not as advanced as this. Okay, and it's lighter, way lighter. This book goes deeper in identities, which is required. Okay, over here another party of sines and cosine. Okay, so 1 over, you can pause and solve and then check the final answer with me. I'm going slow in case you didn't understand, and I'm repeating. I'm going to solve a lot of questions until you all get the idea. So here, and I have what do I have now? See, over here it's very obvious that I'm going to cancel cosine x with cosine x, right? So I have 1 over sine x. Simplify, make your life easier for sine x. This sine x is considered over 1. I cannot subtract because, and this will lead me to Pythagorean identity. Because denominators are not equal, how can I make 1 sine x? I will have to multiply by sine x over sine x. صحيح. So 1 over sine x minus sine squared x all over, this is from where I saw the Pythagorean identity. 1 minus sine squared x over sine x. 1 minus sine squared x is cosine squared x. Okay, cosine squared x over sine x. صح? Right. I can think of it this way in my brain. You don't need to write that, but I'm just explaining. Cosine x times cosine x over sine x. And what is cosine x over sine x? Yeah, excellent. So cotan x times cosine x, and this is the final answer of my simplification. I cannot do anything else. Okay, what is this horrible thing? Not really horrible, but anyways, still some sine and cosine are hidden there. So I will start in a way, maybe you will start in another way and I cannot see you. You can try. If you reach the same answer, the answer is 2 sine x. Then we're both in the same track. So sine x can be changed to, tan x can be changed to sine over cosine plus sine x times 1 over cosine x. What is 1 over cosine x? This is sec x all over. So sec x is 1 over sine x. Sorry for the camera. Times tan x is sine x over cosine x. Let me see, maybe I can start simplifying. I can over here, because it's a multiplication, I can cancel this with this. صح? صح. And here, I can add, because actually I have sine x, over cosine x plus sine x over cosine x all over 1 over cosine x. If you can see that if I multiplied everybody by cosine x, these will all cancel out, that would be very lovely. So I have here over cosine x over cosine x over cosine x. If I multiply the whole fraction by cosine x, this will go and this will go and this will go. Anyways, I did not see, and I started adding over here. Sine x over cosine x plus sine x over cosine x is actually 2 sine x over cosine x times, I'm gonna multiply by the reciprocal of this, of 1 over cosine x. يعني I'm gonna take it upwards, so it's gonna be multiplied by cosine x. مع إنه denominator cancels the denominator. يعني denominator of the numerator cancels denominator of the numerator. And I have 2 sine x over cosine x over 1 over cosine x. Anyways, if I took it upwards, this will cancel this. And your answer, very lovely, very simple, is just sine x. 2 sine x, I'm sorry. Okay, and move on. Okay, regarding question 26. Here I have something a little bit easy if you want it to be easy, hard if you want it to be hard. I had some here Pythagorean identities relating sine. This one is needed here, and I think this one is needed here because cos x squared x minus 1 is equal to cotan squared x, and this is what I have in the denominator. So if you open your eyes, you will make it very easy for yourself. 1 minus sine squared x, according to this Pythagorean, is going to end up in Pythagorean identity to cosine squared x over cos x squared x minus 1 is equal to cotan squared x. So I have cotan squared x. So it's the same as cosine squared x multiplied by tan squared x. Sorry. So it's the same as cosine squared x multiplied by sine squared x over cosine squared x. Akid you can skip some of those steps. I'm going just with every step, which is equal to sine squared x, and this is the final answer. So some others would suffer starting trying to change this into 1 over sine squared x and getting into trouble and trying to make denominators equal, and here trying to, I don't know, doing what. But did I think? Give yourself a minute to think. You will get the answer in a very short way, inshallah, by practice. Okay? So for this question, I could not do anything except to change them to sine and cosine again. So 1 over cosec is 1 over sine x times cosine x plus cotan is cosine x over sine x all over sec x is 1 over cosine x. I think my pen is finishing. Times cotan x is cosine x over sine x. Okay, so what will I do? After these are the same. Cosine x over sine x plus cosine x over sine x is 2 cosine, 2 oranges, remember, over sine x over. Okay, alhamdulillah, I have another pen. I don't need to close the video. So this will cancel this. So I have 1 over sine x. صح? Again, denominator of the numerator can cancel denominator of the denominator. Sounds strange. So I ended up in 2 cosine x over 1, which is 2 cosine x. See, we made it way simpler. Okay, regarding question number 28, I'll solve as much as I can. I think I'll stop this video and make another one because it's getting so long and I suffer posting them and you suffer downloading them. So books, a lot of cosine and sine. For this I can change it to 1 over cosine x, but I love this so much. Cosec I can change it to 1 over sine x minus tan is sine x over cosine x. What else is more fun than this in life? 1 over cosine x أكيد المسلسلات بتاعت جود times cosec 1 over sine x. Okay, I'm still here on the same track, no problem, right? So I have a problem in subtracting the numerators. What is the problem? The problem is that this is cosine sine and this is only cosine. So if I want to subtract them, this is missing a sign, right? So I will have to multiply up and down by sine x to keep it balanced or to keep it equal to the same fraction. I will end up with having 1 over cosine x sine x minus sine squared. Here Pythagorean identity started showing, over cosine x sine x all over 1 over cosine x sine x. خلاص بقى. Over here if I have the same denominator in all of them, I can cancel this with this with this. بس مش ده مع ده وده ما يكونش زيهم. التلاتة. يعني as if I multiplied the whole fraction by cosine x sine x. I multiplied up and down by cosine x sine x. مش واحدة اتنين. يعني I multiply by cosine x sine x. This will cancel this and this and this. خلاص. Not to elongate the steps. I ended up with 1 minus sine squared x. And what is 1 minus sine squared x? Excellent! Cosine squared x. I hope someone did reply. Cosine squared x. Question number 29. Okay. What will I do over here? Come on. Observe well this is this. Cotan squared x plus 1 is cosec squared x. This will make your life very peaceful in this question. 1 over cosine squared x. Okay? All over. This is cosec squared x. Cosec squared x. So, I have 1 over cosine squared x times. If I take this up, it will be sine squared x. I can see quotient identity over here. What is sine squared x over cosine squared x? It is tan squared x. Bravo! Bravo for me, not for you. Tan squared x. Okay? Regarding question number 30. Can be lovely, can be hard if you wish. I can take greatest common factor over here, because I can see cotan x and cotan x, and this will make you solve it easier. Cotan x is 1 minus. What's left here is cosec squared x. Okay, and what's 1 minus cosec squared x? Okay, you will have to be very careful here. If I drag the cosec squared x over here, I'll have to kick this out, so it will be negative. The others, we're asking for cosec squared x minus 1. But this one is 1 minus cosec squared x. So if I put this in, I'll kick this out, and this will be negative. So I can say this is a cotan x times negative cotan squared x, because kicking the cotan squared x out will change it into negative. So I can add powers because I'm multiplying same bases. Negative cotan cubed x, and this is our lovely answer. Okay, if you didn't get that part again, the Pythagorean identity is cosec squared x, cotan squared x. Again, if I want to make it 1 minus cosec squared x, it will have to be 1 minus cosec squared x has to equal to negative cotan squared x. Okay? Okay, I'll stop this video, start another one. Bye.